Hello friends, our today's topic of lecture is Anthoceros life cycle. This life cycle we can divide it in two parts. Part first, classification of Anthoceros, occurrence, its number of species, their distribution, then external characteristic of plant body, internal characteristics, and vegetative reproduction. And in part second, in next lecture, we will try to cover the sexual reproduction, fertilization, alternation of generation of the Anthoceros. So here we are starting with the systematic position of the Anthoceros. It is belong to division Bryophyta, class Anthocerotopsida, order Anthocerotales, family Anthocerotaceae, and genus Anthoceros. This is about the systematic position or classification of the Anthoceros. Then point number 1. Anthoceros with about 200 species is the largest and most widely distributed genus of the class Anthocerotopsida. This class Anthocerotopsida having this genus Anthoceros containing 200 species. Okay. Number 2, it occurs in both tropical and temperate regions of the world. It can grow in tropical areas as well as the temperate areas. Number 3, the plants grow mostly in moist shady places like river banks and rock crevices. Okay. As you know that bryophytes are moisture loving, shade loving plants. So Anthoceros also prefers these moist and shady places for their growing. Number 4, some species grows on decaying wood. In case of forests, we can find these Anthoceros thallus on the dead and deteriorating or dead decaying woods. Number 5, the species of Anthoceros may be annual or perennial. Annual means they can complete their life cycle within a year, and perennial means they can complete their life cycle within 2-3 years. So both annual and perennial types of life cycles can present in the Anthoceros. Number 6, the genus is represented in India about 25 species. Of these, Anthoceros erectus, Anthoceros crispulus, Anthoceros longi, Anthoceros khandalensis, Anthoceros golani, and Anthoceros dixiti are common. Okay, there are 200 species of Anthoceros, and from that 200 species, 25 species occurs in India, and these are some of the most common species in the India. Gametophyte external characteristics. Gametophyte means gametophytic plant body. Gametophytic plant body means gametangia producing plant body. Gametangia means male gametangium and female gametangium. Male gametangium is the male reproductive organ. Female gametangium is the female reproductive organ. Male gametangium is the antheridium and female gametangium is the archegonium. So that the antheridia archegonia producing plant body or gametangia producing plant body called as gametophytic plant body. And in case of bryophytes, the gametophytic plant body is the dominant, long-lived and independent plant body. Okay. Point number 1. The gametophytic plant body is a then dark green in color, then dorsiventral. Dorsiventral means dorsal side and ventral side of the thallus is different. And prostrate. Prostrate means horizontal to the substratum. Number 2, thallus is somewhat lobed or radially dissected and generally suborbicular. You see the thallus of the Anthoceros at the tip, lobes are somewhat on and radially dissected. Then number 3, the thallus is less often dichotomously branched and lacks a definite midrib. you are observed in Markensia, the thallus is frequently dichotomous. In Riccia, Markensia, there is a definite midrib, but in Anthoceros, thallus less often dichotomously branched and lacks a definite midrib. Number 4. The dorsal surface of the thallus is generally smooth or rough. Okay, simple thing. Number 5. The ventral surface bears smooth wall rhizoids only. Generally, in case of Markensia, two types of rhizoids are there: smooth walled and tuberculated. But in Anthoceros, only smooth walled rhizoids are present. What is the function of rhizoids? They can anchorage in function and absorption of water minerals in function. Number 6. On the ventral side, a few bluish spots are seen, indicating the presence of filamentous or blue-green alga, example nostoc or anabina. This Anthoceros causes the symbiotic association with the blue-green algae, example nostoc, anabina, and these blue-green algae entered in the thallus through ventral surface. Okay, so this Anthoceros always shows the symbiotic association with the blue-green algae. Next, number 7. Sex organs are situated on the dorsal side and are embedded in the tissue of the thallus. Okay. Anthridia, archigonia sex organs always present toward the dorsal side of the thallus and they are embedded. Embedded म्हणजे आत असे रुतलेले. Embedded in the thallus. Number 8. The sporophyte is linear, elongated structure arising from the dorsal side, and sporophytic structures are elongated structures, arising structures from the erect structures developing or arising from the dorsal side. Here photographs are given. You see this is the matured plant body of the Anthoceros. Shows the dorsal side and ventral side is different, and toward the dorsal side the linear, erect, long sporophytic structures are develops. Okay, now toward the this diagram E and F. E diagram shows the ventral surface of the thallus. At the center there are the smooth walled rhizoids, and F diagram shows the smooth walled rhizoids. So in this way, this is the external appearance of the Anthoceros. Now the anatomy of the thallus means internal characteristic, internal organization of the thallus. For this for observing internal organization, you should have take the transverse section of the thallus. Then you will find the internal organization. Then point number 1. Thallus is few cells in thickness in the middle and becomes thinner toward the margin. At the center of the thallus, the cells are somewhat thickened, and how you will go towards the margin, cell becomes a thinner. Okay. Number 2. Internal structure is homogeneous. Homogeneous means alike. All cells are similar in structure. Air pores and air chambers are absent. Air pores and air chambers are present in Markensia, but in Anthoceros they are absent. Number 3. There is a upper epidermis on upper side and lower epidermis on the lower side. Both upper and lower epidermis are distinct. Number 4. Parenchymatous tissue lies between two epidermis. Toward the both epidermis, upper and lower epidermis, in between them the parenchymatous tissue, which is the homogeneous, similar in structure, that parenchymatous tissue is present. Number 5. A parenchymatous cells has a distinct nucleus and a chloroplast, and each parenchymatous cells having the distinct nucleus and the chloroplasts. Number 6. Each cell has a large chloroplast with a single pyrenoid. Chloroplasts along with chloroplast, pyrenoids also present, and these pyrenoids are starch synthesizing bodies. Number 7. On the ventral side, there are certain mucilage-filled cavities which open by smile pores through the ventral epidermis. You see in the diagram, toward the lower side, you will find mucilaginous cavities, and these cavities are opens with the lower epidermis with small pore called as the slime pores. Okay. Number 8. Rhizoids are smooth, walled and arise in the middle region of the thallus from the lower epidermis. And these rhizoids are produced from the lower epidermis of the thallus. You see, this is the G diagram, shows internal organization of the thallus. Upper epidermis and lower epidermis is distinct. Upper epidermis do not having pores or air chambers, but lower epidermis produces the rhizoids, and the cells in between upper and lower epidermis is the homogeneous parenchyma cells having the prominent nucleus, prominent chloroplast and pyronoids. They are starch synthesizing bodies, and toward the ventral surface mucilaginous cavities are present and they opens with the small pores at lower epidermis. So this is about the very simple internal organization of the Anthoceros thallus. Now we can move toward the vegetative reproduction of the Anthoceros. This vegetative reproduction caused by four ways. One is by progressive death and decay of the thallus. Second is by tubers. Third one is the by gymi, and fourth one is by persistent growing apices. Okay. So first type is the vegetative reproduction by progressive death and decay of the. Okay. See the explanation. When gradual death and decay of the posterior part, posterior म्हणजे पाठीमागचा भाग, मागील बाजू, posterior part of the thallus reaches to the point of the dichotomy. The lobes separate and each grow into independent plant. व्हेरी सिंपल, एकदम सिंपल आहे. त्यामध्ये काय होतं, थॅलस आहे, पाठीमागच्या बाजूने असा तो वाळत आला, सुकत आला, मरत आला. जो जसा जसा तो पाठीमागनं असं ड्राय होत होत समोर लोब्स जवळ येईल, अपायकल टिप जवळ येईल, त्यावेळेस ते लोब्स काय होतात, तुटून सेपरेट होतात आणि स्वतंत्र ग्रो होतात आणि त्यांच्यापासून अँथोसोरसची नवीन प्लांट बॉडी तयार होते. That is the vegetative reproduction caused by progressive death and decay of the thallus. Second is the vegetative reproduction by tubers. Okay, these tubers are they are tuber-like structures. Okay, due to saturation of the food material, they become say swollen, or they become a bulging structures. Okay, so these tubers are swollen structure due to saturation of the food material, and these tubers are developed to the margin of the thallus at the tip as well as the both the margins. Okay, when these tubers are matures, they detach from the thallus and grows individually in favorable conditions and produce a new individual plant body of the thallus. So these tubers are the very simple structures develops on the margin as well as the tip of the thallus. They are full with the food material. When they at maturity, they cut their connection from the thallus. They detach from the mother thallus, grows individually in favorable condition and produce new individual plant body. This is about the tubers. See the explanation. In many species of the Anthoceros, tubers are formed during unfavorable conditions of prolonged drought, etc. So these tubers are developed in the drought conditions or adverse environmental unfavorable conditions. They store food and also function as perinating organs. Okay. They also causes, their function is storage of food material as well as the reproduction. The tubers have an outer protective corky layer and hence they resist extreme desiccation. त्याला थिक कॉर्की वॉल असल्यामुळे काय होतं, ते अतिशय ड्राय कंडिशनमध्ये पण जिवंत राहतं. दे रिमेन अलाइव्ह इवन आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ द थॅलस. द थॅलसची डेथ जरी झाली तर ते कसे जिवंत राहतात. इन फेवरेबल कंडिशन्स, when sufficient moisture is available, they germinate and give rise to new plants. आणि ज्यावेळेस ते कट होतील आणि फेवरेबल कंडिशन्स त्याला अवेलेबल होईल त्यावेळेस ते जर्मिनेट होतात आणि त्याच्यापासून नवीन अँथोसोरसची प्लांट बॉडी तयार होते. देन vegetative reproduction by Jimmy. Some species like Anthoceros glandulosus, Anthoceros formosi, and Anthoceros propaguliferus bear stalked structures on the dorsal surface of the thallus. काही स्पेसीजमध्ये असे छोटे स्ट्रक्चर्स स्टॉक्ड स्ट्रक्चर्स डेव्हलप होतात. These are known as Jimmy, and these stalked structure developing by the dorsal surface of the thallus called as the Jimmy. On separation from the parent thallus, Jimmy give rise to new plant. आणि ज्या वेळेस ते जिम्मी मदर प्लॅन्टपासून वेगळे होतात ते इंडिव्हिज्युअली जर्मिनेट होतात आणि त्यापासून मग नवीन अँथोसेरॉसची प्लॅन्ट बॉडी तयार होते. ओके. नंबर 4, बाय पर्सिस्टंट ग्रोईंग अपायसिस. म्हणजे पर्सिस्टंट ग्रोईंग अपेक्सिस म्हणजेच काय, जे वरची टिप जी आहे थॅलसची, त्या टिप हॅव्हिंग दी टिप कन्सिडर्ड ॲज अ ग्रोईंग अपेक्सिस ड्यू टू देअर मेरिस्टेमॅटिक ॲक्टिव्हिटी, ड्यू टू देअर ग्रोथ. ओके. आणि त्याच्यापासून होणार हे रिप्रोडक्शन. सम species like a Anthoceros pearsoni, Anthoceros fusiformis grow in areas where summer season is usually dry. Okay. Therefore, during summer, all parts of the thallus except the apical regions become dry. मग अशा कंडिशनमध्ये काय होतं, अपायकल रिजन सोडल्यानंतर सगळा थॅलस ड्राय होऊन जातो तिथं. These apical parts remain dormant during dry conditions and on the return of favorable conditions become active and form a new thalli. बरोबर आहे. आणि हे ग्रोईंग अपेक्सिस काय होतात तर डॉर्मंट कंडिशनमध्ये जातात, ते ड्राय होत नाहीत. पुढच्या समर सीझन, पुढच्या मान्सून सीझनची वाट पाहतात, म्हणजेच पुढच्या फेवरेबल कंडिशनची वाट पाहतात आणि पुढच्या फेवरेबल कंडिशनमध्ये ते जर्मिनेट होतात आणि त्यांच्यापासून अँथोसेरॉसचा नवीन थॅलस तयार होतो. ओके. सो इन दिस वे दिस इज अबाउट द व्हेजिटेटिव्ह रिप्रोडक्शन ऑफ द Anthoceros thallus. We can stop here. In today's lecture, we have observed the systematic position of the Anthoceros, number of species of Anthoceros in world, in India, most common Indian species, then occurrence and distribution of the Anthoceros, then external appearance of the plant body, internal organization of the thallus, and vegetative reproduction. In next part of the lecture, in Anthoceros life cycle part 2, we will try to cover the structure of antheridium, structure of archegonium, sexual reproduction, fertilization, alternation of generation in Anthoceros. Thank you.